Welcome, 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 beloveds. Welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Paul Prasuti, and I will be your host tonight. I welcome you to our midweek oasis, our Wednesday night service. As you'll be able to experience tonight, our Wednesday night oasis is a place where we come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. Most Wednesday night services build upon the theme of the previous Sunday, sharing in a satsang style expressing science of mind principles and practices, with the intention that these gatherings be informal, intimate, and interactive. Our annual theme for 2023 is Living Out Loud. Our monthly theme for June is Speaking Truth to Circumstance. Now, last Sunday, Reverend Sunshine introduced ideas inspired by the talk title of Got Me Hypnotized. And tonight, our speaker will continue the exploration of this same topic. So, as we gather tonight, I really want to welcome you. My New England showed there. I really want to welcome you. Early in her ministry with us, Reverend Sunshine Michelle invited us to come to the center, well. To do so, she shared these 5 C's for us to consider and incorporate. Come with a heart of love and tenderness, known as compassion. Come ready to exchange openly. We're calling communication. Come in harmony and ready to share, camaraderie. Come in partnership and cooperation. I'll say that's collaboration. And come in spiritual awareness and truth, consciousness. As we move into the program tonight, these 5 C's are the premise of sharing a wonderful evening with you tonight. Now, if you're new to our community with us tonight, you've already found our webpage. If you're watching us on YouTube, please check us out at www.oaklandcsl.org. Click on the I'm New icon and look at the lower left-hand corner of that page to submit your email address. Once you do, you'll begin receiving the Village News newsletter once a week in your email. It has all the information on what is happening at the center in the coming weeks. Got some housekeeping notes. So before we get started, if you haven't done it already, please just mute your own audio microphone during tonight's service. Our Zoom team will mute your audio to improve the quality if you don't do it. So beat them to the punch. And our recording and transmission will be improved. Please stay tuned through the end of the service to receive special and important announcements. So right now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight. As I said during our social time before this event started, kind of a flip the switch on the leadership of Wednesday night service. I'm the secondary host, whereas Reverend Sally is the primary lead host. But she's speaking tonight, so I get to move up to lead host position as I get to support her speaking. So we're both here in the same platform at the same time. So I'm delighted that we can have her speak with us tonight. So our Reverend Sally Bartholomew, I got some bullet points to share about her. This is a surprise. I didn't tell her what I was going to say in advance. So here you go, Sally. Reverend Sally is a long-established member, then practitioner, and now a minister at OCSL, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. She is currently serving as our secretary for our Oakland Center's Board of Trustees. She's the lead host of Wednesday night service. She's the leader of the Aramaic study group. She's a leader of the Chosen Watch group, where we watch the television, internet's life about Christ through the eyes of the disciples. We have a watch group that get together and she leads that. As well, she's an active and regular participant of Dr. Dan's daily devotional group. Now, you'd think she would have no time to do anything other than that, but she's also the senior minister of consciousness caravans. Through daily spiritual practices, workshops, hiking, service projects, and crafts at the campgrounds, Consciousness Caravans transforms lives, uplifts humanity, and actively creates a better world for everyone. Reverend Sally, her husband Dave, and their beloved friend Jackson travel coast to coast and border to border in their RV, sharing their wonderful message with other RV travelers. Isn't she amazing? We're so blessed to have her in this capacity tonight. We're so blessed to have her in all of those capacities. It gives me great honor as she speaks about Got Me Hypnotized. So, Reverend Sally, do you feel lifted up a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, elevated supremely. So, as we do with every organized event at the center, we open with prayer. So, Reverend Sally, will you be doing the honors this evening?
Actually, this evening, I will be inviting Rev Deb Hammond, one of my favorite Wednesday night speakers, to be doing the prayer to open us up this evening. Rev Deb?
I am so honored to just be in this right now moment. And I ask that if you choose to, please allow your eyes to close or either to lower your gaze and just be in this moment right here and right now, knowing that there is truly only the one life. And that life is God. That life is perfect. That life is the life of each and every one of us. And knowing that in this right now moment, that everything is already perfectly aligned for this Wednesday night oasis, knowing that all of the hands that have come together to make this gathering possible has already been blessed. They've already done all that they are to do in the mind and heart of God. And so I know and give thanks that as Reverend Sally brings her message tonight, her talk tonight, that it's truly an opportunity for us to wake up, to come out of hypnosis. And it's like an opportunity for us to just be awake. Whereas in that space that we allow God's wisdom, allow God's knowledge to envelop us, and knowing that we carry this with us always, that this is who we are. And so in this time together right now, that we just allow our hearts to open, our ears to hear all that is to be heard, and to receive in love and understanding the words that come from Reverend Sally tonight. So I'm just grateful for this time, blessing Reverend Sunshine Michelle, blessing the entire OCSL community, knowing for this opportunity of this Wednesday night oasis, this is an absolute amazing time to be here. And I'm just grateful for this knowing this. And I give thanks for this, and I release this knowing that it is so. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is.
So it
Thank you,
is.
Reverend Debbie.
Thank you.
So
Thank
it
you.
is.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Welcome everyone to Wednesday night. I do feel a little off. You know, that's usually my first line on Wednesday night is welcome everyone as the host. And Paul, thank you for that introduction. I will be talking a little bit about Dr. Dan and the Chosen. So thank you for letting folks know about that. Tonight's talk title, it is Got Me Hypnotized. And, you know, I've been asking myself, what does that mean? And being hypnotized is really all about circumstances, right? So as Reverend Sunshine said on Sunday, hypnotherapy can be beneficial. So I want to say that up front because the rest of this talk is really going to focus on the other aspect of hypnosis. And that's the aspect that, as she said, you know, one of her comments was that it's like hypnosis is like you're a puppet and someone else or something else is controlling your strings. So I'm inviting you into a conversation this evening, asking yourself, inviting yourself to wake up to what are the circumstances in your life that have you hypnotized? What are the circumstances in your life that have you hypnotized? And I'm asking this question, I'll tell you right up front. It's only when we see what's before us. We've studied the last the Sunday and Wednesday night talk, we're looking at the monsters in our life. So it's only as we see these things clearly that we can move beyond them. Now, the author, Don Miguel Ruiz of the Four Agreements, suggests that we are all, to some extent, domesticated from birth, enmeshed in a collective dream. We could say that we are hypnotized. We're using that word. Now, he defines domestication as the primary system of control in the dream of the planet. Starting when we're very young, we are presented with either a reward or a punishment for adopting beliefs and behaviors of what others find acceptable. When we adopt these beliefs and behaviors, after receiving the reward or the punishment, we can say that we have been domesticated. And unfortunately, all of us have been. So what Don Miguel is suggesting, said another way, is that our parents, guardians, culture, society, has used rewards and punishment, rewards being a treat when you've gotten a good grade on your report card, punishment being sent to your room for a timeout when you express anger. So they use rewards and punishment to hypnotize us. Now, these are just some of the circumstances of life that may hypnotize us, at least until we wake up. This journey through religious science is one of the things that we use to help us wake up. It could be said that our entire journey of life is waking up from this collective dream. Another example that we're given from the global themes team is Neo in the Matrix. He's born into a pre-existing dream, a collective agreement about life in the movie. The Matrix is a dream founded on a deep belief in separation from God, from ourselves, from each other, and from the planet. This separation then grows seeds of good and bad, right and wrong, us and them, fear and judging. And these seeds can create desire for control, blame, shame, guilt, heaven, hell, victim, persecutor, rescuer, and on and on. All right, take a breath with me. I know I'm painting a bleak picture, but I want to get your attention. I want you to know that New Thought, religious science, our science of mind philosophy, refers to this dream state as the collective unconscious. And it is a state of consciousness in which we are all immersed, kind of like fish in water. We don't even know we're in this dream. Often, we don't even question why we do what we do when we do it until we do. Question. So the question tonight is, what circumstances have you hypnotized? As Paul was saying, the global theme for the month of July, given to us from the Centers for Spiritual Living, is speaking truth to circumstance. And part of the summary that they give us says that speaking truth to circumstance is a reboot of the phrase speaking truth to power. Now we know that God, Spirit, truth is the only power. And what people really mean when they use this phrase, speaking truth to circumstance, is speaking to control of circumstances. So our intention for exploring this topic is to free ourselves from the hypnotic reaction to circumstances that we might just be living in all the time, so that we can live from a place of authentic action, consciously chosen response. So, are you ready to wake up to the truth? Well, in the collective dream, there seems to be this agreement that separation is the truth of life. So I ask you to ask yourself, what do you believe the truth to be? You know, it's a good question. And as I was gathering material for this talk, I found an old 3x5 card that I had written notes to myself from the book, The Fifth Agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it helps with this evening's discussion. It tells us that the truth doesn't need to prove itself. It exists whether we believe in it or not. Lies only exist if we create them, and they only survive if we believe in them. All conflict is the result of lies, because truth has no conflict at all. Good and evil are just the result of conflict. The real conflict is between truth and lies. So I really found it interesting that as I was preparing for this talk, I found this note. Spirit is always providing me exactly what I need when I need it. And thinking about what I just read, I would say that cultural and societal norms, the lies we tell each other, only exist if we create them, and they only continue as they are if we agree with them and believe in them. We have the power to change them. That's amazing. That's the truth. So, assuming that we are hypnotized from birth to believe and behave along certain societal norms, how do we wake up to the truth? What is the truth? Well, thank goodness. For me, this is where the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living can help, does help, is helping. We study, we teach, we live spiritual principles and practices. We question and explore the truth through such means as our certificated classes, the Dr. Dan Guidance for a Spiritual Journey, noontime devotional group, spiritual enrichment classes like the Aramaic Teachings of Jesus book study. That's where we explore our circumstances looking for truth. And I want to share with you, just yesterday on July 11th, Dr. Dan gave us these words of wisdom. He says, only as we seek to appreciate and understand the indestructibility of spirit, the integrity of truth, the continuity of life, the intelligence of mind, the beauty of soul, and the purity of love, all coming from a changeless, ever-present principle within which all change is, can we ever hope to see God? Wow, that was just one sentence from that one day that helps me to see what truth is. And on June 29th, Dr. Dan tells us that the purpose of mature religion is to agitate rather than to tranquilize, to arouse us from our spiritual slumber, to disturb us and even jolt us so that we may confront whatever unhappiness and inequities we discover in life in order to bring the full impact of God's perfect law to the world in which we live and enable us to perfect our world under God. Wow. Even reading it again, I'm just amazed by the depth of understanding of Reverend Dr. Daniel Lee Morgan. Now, those of you who know something about me, and I know several of you on the call this evening do, know that I love book studies and I love to read. Sometimes I'll pick a book and I'll open it just to see what page wants my attention. And as I've said before, Spirit always guides me to exactly what I need. Sometimes I read books cover to cover, hardly putting it down. Our Aramaic teaching book was one of those books. And recently I discovered a book by Neil Donald Walsh. He's of the Conversations with God series. His new book is called The God's Solution. And of course, I pick it up now as I'm preparing for this talk. And the topic of it is all about what is it that we believe about God, about truth, that if most of mankind believed that, humanity believed that, would shift our world and the way we show up. So he seems to agree with Don Miguel Ruiz and the Matrix movie that humanity has come to some kind of agreement, is caught up or hypnotized by the collective dream. And he points to a definition of God or truth as the first thing that we need to address in order to move the collective forward. He tells us that humanity's biggest dilemma relating to God, it's not whether people think there is or is not a God. Surveys actually show that nearly 85% of us do believe in a controlling power. The dilemma arises in what those who think there is a God hold as our beliefs about God. Let me say that another way. The dilemma arises in what those who think there is truth hold as their beliefs about truth. For as you know, there can be consequences, rewards, and punishments for holding the wrong belief. Now, I was taught that the Bible presents truth. But I've also learned through studying the Aramaic teachings of Jesus that whoever controls the translation controls the truth. I said something earlier that I'd like to revisit. Neil says that God is a controlling power. If so, what? Who? How is God controlling? How is truth controlling my life? All right, take a breath. I've been sitting with this for a while, and I realize it's a lot to take in. In this world of seeming polar opposites, and I'm not even bringing up any examples of those, but I'm sure in your life you can think of them. we get to train ourselves to become aware of those negative circumstances, programming, hypnotic impulses in our lives, and consciously choose to turn or pivot, or as Reverend Sunshine Michelle says, flip the script. And it's amazing that Paul used that same phrase this evening, flip the script towards truth, the divine, oneness, life, love, light, wisdom, power, peace, beauty, joy. So let's play with this idea of flipping the script. I'd like to take you on a guided meditation of sorts. So I'd like you to consider a circumstance that you wish to shift. Don't make it anything big, just go with whatever comes to you first. And I want you to know that in this meditation, you are perfectly safe and you're able to do all that is called for you to do during this meditation. And I know that it will shift you. So as you close your eyes, allowing your awareness to turn within, I want you to imagine with me that you are on a large body of water, maybe a lake. You push off the shore and you float easily to the center of the lake on a paddleboard or a raft or something similar. You get yourself ready and you stand up and you look all around. You look at the circumstances, what's going on all around you. And you realize that anytime you shift your weight, the board reacts by moving across the surface of the water. So it doesn't take you long before you begin to act accordingly, being mindful of your center of gravity or balance on that floating object. So you say to yourself, I can do this. I wake up to the truth of spirit that I am. Go ahead, say it silently to yourself. I can do this. I wake up to the truth of spirit that I am. So you are steady and calm as you adjust to the circumstance of floating on the water. Now, as you're out there, the wind picks up and the water gets choppy. You're still able to stay on top of the board using your center of balance to adjust to the waves. What fun! Go ahead, wiggle in your seat now to get the feeling in your body. Now, imagine that you move to the shoreline and you're walking through a marshy area. You're stepping very purposefully, foot to foot, choosing exactly where to place yourself, your foot, making great progress. You found that if you place your foot on a spot that looks dry and has just the right grass or debris piled up, well, you can put your full weight on it. You're trusting in the circumstances. Breathe. So you ask yourself, what happens? Oh no, what happens when the next step shifts out from underneath you after you've transferred your body weight? Go ahead, let your imagination think about that. I can tell you, it's going to be a splash. You're going to land in the muck in the water. Go ahead, in your imagination, let yourself do that. Now breathe. Now, in your imagination, pull yourself up out of the muck and sit on the most solid ground you can find. It might still be watery, but know that it holds your weight. Breathe. Turn your attention not to what's going on out here or the water, but within. Focus your attention on your breathing and that space in your body surrounding your heart. Center yourself. Find the truth of the divine within. Bring to mind life, love, light, wisdom, power, peace, beauty, and joy. It's always within. So while sitting in the midst of the waters, the circumstances of your life, you find truth. Now, as you stand back up again, from this centered place, you can move forward. I invite you to open your eyes if you've closed them and wake up. Now, I'd like to stop here and ask if there are any comments or questions wanting to be shared. I'm going to navigate myself back to the gallery so I can see everyone out here. I know I went through that quickly, and I'd like to know what your responses are.
If you want to be present and ask Sally a question or have the attention, raise your hand with your reaction button. Make sure you unmute yourself. And we see Constance has raised her hand.
I just found that when I hit the water and the muck, I was just totally delighted and laughing out loud.
Thank you. It's good to keep a little bit of humor in life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other reactions? I see Deborah's got her hand up.
I do, because I guess I've been in religious science too long, because when I hit the water and I came back out, I said, oh, okay. Thank you, Papa, for saving me.
Yes.
And it was just my constant belief that regardless to what kind of hardships I am going to face, God's got my back, and it will at some point begin to show itself.
Yeah.
Because the belief system, and so that's the belief that I had in terms of the whole thing. It was like, thank you, Papa. I mean, I was pissed off because everything was wet, but at the same time, it was like I struggled getting out, and I said, oh, this is kind of like life. Just the whole thing of my ups and downs. I used to absolutely be petrified. And because I've been in religious science so long, I just knew through my faith that it was okay.
Mhm.
I'm complete.
Mhm. Thank you, Deborah. Anyone else?
Well, I was going to share that, but Deborah stole my thunder. But it felt the same way. It's, when I hit the water in this process, that it felt a little scary at first. And then it's like, okay, now what? Let me get up, because I could stay stuck in the water and just sit there. And it's like, man, no, let me get up. because I know that I'm able to. And like Deborah was saying, it's this thing of this is how life is as well. It's like sometimes we fall and we can either stay stuck in the muck or get back up and move forward.
Yeah.
So that was a great exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, Rev Deb. All right. Anyone else? Sherry, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to talk about the meditation thing. I think I drowned. I'm not sure.
You're still swimming underneath.
Yeah, I'm still swimming out there, but I never made it to the shore. But it's fun to have humor.
It is.
Yeah. I just love what you said about, or was it Dr. Dan who said, whoever controls the narrative, the translation controls the power? Who was that said that?
That's my realization from studying the Aramaic Jesus. Yeah.
Got it.
that's-
Okay. All right. Okay. That is so what's going on in the world, in our world,
Yes.
in our country today,
Yes.
the white supremacist history. And yeah, so I just want to share a thing about what controls me. It's thinking that I have to do it, my will, that it's like, it has to be this way, certain way. And briefly, I just came back from a trip to Oregon where my car still is, because it's hopefully going to get fixed up there sometime. But what happened on that trip was everywhere I turned to fix it or to think what was going to happen didn't happen. And there were angels all the way along, and the tow truck driver and the shuttle driver and the car mechanic, and every one of these people was giving their compassion and their caring and choices. They weren't mine wherever I turned. So it was an amazing experience in surrendering the will to the will of God and just saying, okay, God, what's next? What do you, what should happen? And so my thing is get out of the way, just step out of the way and let spirit do whatever it's going to do. And that's pretty basic, but I have to keep being reminded of it all the time. And I'll close by saying the universe definitely is a benevolent universe. I can say from that experience in Oregon. So
Yes. Thank you, Sherry. And I love what I'm hearing from you and Deborah and Rev Deb, and I'll go to Reverend Jerry next. I love the fact that I'm hearing, and I'm not surprised that I am hearing in this community, that we return ourselves to center, that we surrender to the truth. And when we do surrender to the truth, even if circumstances are not to our liking, we know we're okay. The universe is a benevolent place. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Reverend Jerry, and then Dr. Judith.
Well, hello there, Reverend Sally. How are you?
There.
Had to race in this evening, so I was a little bit later than I planned, but I appreciated your talk, and it really it reminded me of how important and how much I trust, and how important that is in my life. One of my mantras that I wake up to many, many times in the night or any time during the day when there's a struggle or challenges, I surrender to the power and presence of God within me. And that is a affirmation that I've used ever since I started facilitating the 5 gifts class back.
I was going to say, I thought that's where I heard it from.
and now I'm coming to the completion of the class, and that affirmation comes up for me always. I just really went to sleep on the operating table when I gave my kidney to my brother with that mantra, and I woke up in great shape. So I know God's fabulous and everywhere present and always supporting me. And anytime there's a little hiccup, I get that God trigger that says, I'm here, I'm with you. There's nothing to worry about. So, and I've used it quite a bit because one of my favorite kitties just made his transition. And so it's been a hard to be here and not be with him. And so I'm getting through it. And I know that, his little divine body is right where it needs to be as well. And that the great joy that was brought to me, I appreciate and I'm so grateful for. So between gratitude and trust and surrender's our topic for this last class. So we're
Ah,
that as a group. And so thank you for pulling it all together this evening.
you're welcome. Thank you. And if you would, in the chat, please give us that affirmation that you use.
I will.
I think others would love to have it.
Yeah, it
Thank
really
you, Reverend
works.
Jerry.
Yeah, it really works for me. Thank you too, Reverend Sally.
Dr. Judith.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do something else while she's talking.
I think you're muted, Dr. Judith.
Okay. The meditation for me separated itself into two distinct places or parts. Beginning, or often, but the idea was balance. And there are, in small ways, there are always small bits of adjustment turn to on my path. I make it, I just and continue moving forward. Always, the presence of God on the board with me. And so that was just one idea that I want to hold on to, remembering the presence of balance and the ability to, if I start to tip, to do a small adjustment and then be back on balance. The second half of it, I'm not sure I've ever been in a swamp. An actual
Lucky you.
yeah. But walking along and, my feeling was I'm walking along and I'm feeling like everything is okay. And I step on something, or in life, I step into something, or I come up against something. In any case, it was like, whoops, and down I go. And and for a moment, it's like, what happened? And then it's like, it doesn't matter what happened. Now, what are your steps? What are my steps now? And to remember that I am guided, guarded, and directed by spirit. And I can ask spirit for help, so that I can, that with the help of God, I can slowly become upright again. And then, take a step that's indicated. So I like that. Both of them are not, it was kind of dramatic to slip on whatever I slipped in and fall into the water where I was then covered with muck. But there was something, there's something kind of funny about it. As Dolores said, it's like, oh, wow, I never expected this. And then it's like, well, okay, it's here, as in many situations in life, here I am. And it's from this place that I begin to resurrect myself, climb out of the muck, maybe, got to get some of it off me, but just be there now. Now I can be upright again. And now I get to make a choice and to be more careful, perhaps, or just to know that life has its ups and downs. And I just hit one of the downs very unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So I was, it reminded me of several ways that I can be as I move through this part of my life. Both of those, on the water or in the muck, in the swamp.
Yeah.
And I can fall into the swamp, and I didn't really create that. I didn't even, as far as I know, I made a mistake. I stepped, but I didn't feel like some of the things that happened in my life, I feel that they're a result.
Mm.
Not that I'm
Part of
not
the
being
collective.
punished. I'm not being punished, but it's a result
Mhm.
of a previous action. So all of this was reminding me of that, and especially the second half of it. And so I thank you. It's given me some stuff to chew on.
Mission accomplished. Thank you, thank you. So
Okay.
I do have one other thing that I'd like to share with you. I have more notes, but what I'd like to do now is to take you on another visual, to leave you with another visual, and I am shamelessly promoting the TV series The Chosen. And as Paul said in my introduction, it's a TV series about the life and experiences of the apostles who followed Jesus. And I have been binge watching this, watching it with the group. And what I really love about this series is it gives visuals to some of these ideas. So in season 3, it's the last episode of season 3, there's this scene where the apostle Simon, he steps out of the boat during a fierce storm. So imagine, you know, the apostles, all 12 of them are in this boat, and there's this storm, and he steps out of the boat during the fierce storm, and he begins walking on the water towards Jesus. It's spectacular. It's miraculous. Simon steps out of the boat in faith, and he places his trust in Jesus. And I would say in God, in the truth. Okay. But as happens to many of us, as we experienced in our meditation, even, he loses his focus on the truth. And he starts to get caught looking around at the circumstances, the crashing waves, the thunder, the lightning all around him, and he sinks. And he is going under. And in the show, they show him going under, plunging under, and then they show Simon reaching up out of the waters, and Jesus is reaching down, and he's able to grab the hand of Jesus, and then they reconnect. He reconnects with the truth and is pulled back into the boat. The stormy circumstances, they haven't disappeared, but Simon's relationship to them has shifted. He is once again centered in his trust of the divine. And so I have a lot more that I could say on this topic, and I'm going to skip down to the end because I can see the time. What I want us to know is when we encounter people and circumstances and organizations in our life that upset us, it's important for us to step back, recognize that below the surface appearances, we are one. There is no separation. We all want the same thing, love. Now, we might have different ways of trying to get it, circumstances, but that's what we all want. And this is because infinite presence, God, truth, is love. And we are simply wanting to be aligned with it. We're on that board trying to get ourselves stabilized with it. No matter how distorted our method is, at the core of most of us, as we were talking earlier, there's these, the global team is calling it these spells, a belief that I am separate from life and that life is not safe. Well, we know the truth that the universal presence is a benevolent presence. It is pure love. And we are okay. So if we can move into this understanding past just the intellectual knowing of it and get into the body feel of it, then we can integrate. We can allow our talk to be part of our walk.
Hmm.
It's not overnight. It takes dedication. It takes involvement at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living with the groups and the classes and the meditations and the practices. We have a long conditioned life of the ego and the storyteller, the puppeteer that doesn't want to give up easily. But we know the truth. We live the truth. So as we become willing to be aware that we are hypnotized by the collective consciousness, then we can begin to see that the most important task of our life is to wake up. We cannot truly deal with any of these world issues or even our own personal issues until we at least thin that fog of misperceptions. When we stop relating to the world as us versus them, then we can see that we're living inside a very, very old dream. And we can start to relate to each other differently, more compassionately. So whatever the circumstances are that appear, whether it's the muck or whatever, wake up. Let the God light that is within you guide you, be your foundation from which you step towards the rest of your life. And you can use this affirmation: I wake up to the truth of spirit that I am. And so it is.
And so it is, the
And so
fabulous
it is.
Reverend Sally. Let's hear it for her. Thank you, Reverend Sally, taking us on a wonderful journey tonight. Reverend Jerry, I see your hand up, or is that applause?
I was trying to send a heart to Reverend Sally. But I missed the, here, I'm going to do it now. Here you go, Reverend Sally.
There you go. Because
And
for a minute
Paul.
there it was, hi, Reverend Jerry. For a minute there, it was the sound of one hand clapping, okay?
Oh, and a heart for you too, Paul.
Well, thank you, darling. Thank you. It's so glad to have you. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm glad that all of you showed up tonight. I think Reverend Sally did a terrific job speaking. She's just as good a speaker as she is a host, isn't she? Not so good on the surfboard though, but that we'll work on that. We'll work on that. Thank you for everything, Reverend Sally. So we're going to turn to some announcements, get some great stuff going on for you here at Oakland Center. So when Constance is ready, we shall move right into them. So what is coming up here at the center? On this Sunday, July 16th, Wayne Clark will be continuing the July theme of speaking truth to circumstances. His topic is standing on Shiva. If you heard Wayne speak here in April, you know we're in for a treat and great wisdom. Meditation is at 10 and the service is at 10:30. Wednesday, July 19th, practitioner Peggy Cotton continues the discussing on standing on Shiva. Meditation at 6:30 and the service at 7. And all of our Wednesday nights are in Zoom. Some little sad news to share with you today.
No.
Our beloved Matriarcha member Barbara Williams transitioned peacefully on Tuesday, July 11th at 95. Until recently moving to Washington to be near her family, she attended service almost every week. I'm going to say she is a social justice warrior, attended Diversity Circle and other diversity events regularly. Check the Village News in the upcoming weeks for any announcements pertaining to any memorials or services her family invites us to. So we just take a moment and hold those in our hearts and love them for a moment and remember Barbara as she moves beyond the veil. Well, and a more lively discussion and situation was at the open forum last Sunday. If you weren't able to attend, please check out our YouTube channel and join in the conversation by watching it. On a happier note, 40% off everything in the bookstore in July. And we're only halfway through. This is kind of like the Amazon Prime days and for a whole month at the Oakland's bookstore. So early holiday shopping, get more books. That thing in the bookstore you've been waiting for so long. Books for every one of our small groups. The possibilities are endless. Check out the bookstore on Sunday when you're there. Speaking of Sunday, Bring a Friend Sunday is Sunday, July 23rd. Your guests, when they come with you, will be greeted warmly. After service, the courtyard will be filled with friendly faces sharing information about the center. So please visit the upcoming classes and workshops page on our website for more information about learning opportunities. And don't forget to visit the events page on our website to see more about upcoming special events. There's even a small groups page, a groups page. Check that out to see when they and where they meet. And always, for information on all that is going on at your Oakland Center, visit and explore our website at oaklandcsl.org and sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Village News. Remember to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for special updates and content you'll only find by liking and subscribing to Oakland Center. Please like us and subscribe to Oakland Center today. On our next slide is the lovely members of the different contact teams here. Constance is here tonight with us, doing Peter's job. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. Of course, our senior minister, our board president, anything around facilities with Susan Brecker. Dorothy Mendez is here tonight, the Ministry of Prayer. Dow, our bookkeeper, and our facilities leadership under Sanford Livingston. So when you see these folks in the courtyard, thank them and say, hey, what are you doing these days? Maybe I might want to help you out some way. Check it out. But most of all, we want to thank them for their service. Moving on, we're going to move into our offering for tonight. So if you have an offering, whatever it may be, I think of Reverend Jerry when she says time, treasure, and talent. That's always stuck with me. So I'll pull it and hold it close to my chest, to my heart center. That truth space that knows as we recite our affirmation. Joyously, I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive. I release it into the universe, knowing that it returns and blesses everywhere and everyone that it comes in contact with. So in order to participate in donating or submitting your offering, you can do that on our website, on the homepage, the donate icon at the top there. It looks like little hearts. If you're interested in submitting an offering tonight, that would be great. So once you're there, you'll see 5 ways to give via the donate icon: credit card, by mail, Zelle, by text, or offering basket at Sunday service. Please visit that page as well as the many pages that we have. So thank you, Time, for a splendid and wonderful service tonight. I'm so grateful. First of all, I'm going to thank Reverend Sally Bartholomew for being our speaker. Our long distance award-winning person from the longest distance tonight, as far as I can tell, is Rev Deb in Georgia. Thank you, my dear. You're 3 hours ahead of us, and we're so grateful that you've chosen to be here with us tonight. Also want to recognize our ministerial support as well as Reverend Jerry's here with us tonight. Thank you, Reverend Jerry, taking time out of your busy schedule. And as always, I want to thank Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, our senior minister and spiritual director, for allowing us to meet on this platform midweek to kind of get in the center of the center things. Excuse me, getting all choked up when I talk about our folks here. I want to take a minute and thank the AV team. Peter, who usually wins the long distance award, is up in Portland, gives every Wednesday flawlessly and faithfully. He's always here, except for this week and the next week, because he's in Oakland at home where he belongs, visiting his family. So Constance, the ever-present, all-inspiring, ever-supportive, wonderful Constance, stepped up tonight and did all Peter's stuff in the background. So I want to recognize her. And I want to recognize our spotlighter and just wonderful human being on the AV team, Alice Herndon, all the way from Lake Merritt, Oakland. Second place went to Sherry Kramer, because she's the furthest away other than Rev Deb. So congratulations, Sherry, on your award. Enjoy it, because it comes with absolutely nothing but bragging rights. So congratulations. Oh, bless us all, having a little fun as we close out in the evening. And lastly, but not leastly, most of all, thank you for coming. I know you could have been somewhere else and doing something else tonight, but you chose to spend your time with us. And we're so ever so grateful. As we go into our closing prayer, we start the way we close the way we started. Thank you, one and all. Reverend Sally, if you're ready, we can move into that space.
I would love to move into prayer. It's always the place where I like to be, whether I'm on the paddleboard over a body of water or solidly on dry land. So I invite us all to close our eyes so that we can turn our awareness within. We turn our awareness to, as Reverend Ikea says, our portable temple for God, our heart. And as we turn our awareness into this temple, our heart, we're recognizing that right here is love, life, wisdom, joy, peace, beauty, oneness. That there is a power for good in the world, as Ernest tells us, and that we can use it. We do use it by turning within. And I know that my life is an expression of this universal presence and power, as is the life of each and every beloved on this call and beyond. And this evening, I am so grateful for this opportunity to come together at the Wednesday night oasis to talk about truth, to do guided meditations, to explore circumstances, knowing we can rise above them. I'm so grateful for the divine energy that is fully present. And I speak a word for our beloved Barbara Williams, knowing that as she moves on beyond the veil, that the love that she is continues. For love never dies. Love is eternal. I am grateful for this. I bless us as we go about the rest of our evenings and the rest of our weeks, knowing that we are divinely guided, guarded, and uplifted, and all is well. So I release this word to the law, knowing it always says yes. Yes, beloved, all is well. And so it is.
And so it is.